everyone. So in this video, we're going to see how to create the approval process. Okay. So we have learned all the basics and also we have completed the preparing your org also, right? So now in this video, we are going to see how to create the approval process. Okay. So we are going to see this as a series of videos. Okay. So in this video, we'll be seeing how to create approval process using this Jumpstart wizard. Okay. What is this Jumpstart wizard? We are going to see inside this video. So as of now, you can have an understanding that to create approval process, we have two options. So Jumpstart Wizard is actually one of the option of that. Okay, so let us start with the video and you'll understand what is the concept all about. Okay, so before moving on to the creation phase of the approval process, let us just revisit the scenario one more time. So what is our scenario for what we are going to create the approval processes? First, we are going to create approval process for QRT Silkyan exporters. Okay, and the scenario is whenever an opportunity is created in the Silkyan exports, so if the value is going to be above 1 lakh and if the stage of the opportunity is in negotiation review, the rep, okay, she's the rep, right? So Preeti is the sales rep and she is the owner of this particular opportunity record. Okay, so she cannot actually process this particular opportunity without getting a prior confirmation or approval from her senior manager, who is nothing but the Steve. Okay, so if she has to do some kind of processing inside the opportunity record, say for example, if she has to close the opportunity to closed one, then Steve's approval is mandatory. So without the approval of Steve, she cannot close this particular opportunity. Okay, so we are going to see how to do that with the help of the approval process. Okay, so this is a scenario. I have given it in the form of a text also. You can just go through this. Okay, so now let us start creating the approval process. So how to navigate to the approval process first? Okay, so first you have to go to the setup and quick find. In the quick find, you have to type for approval process and we have to navigate to the approval process. Okay, so then we'll be choosing the object. All those things we will see it as a hands-on now. Let us quickly jump to the org now. Okay, this is my org. Okay, so now as I told you in the slide, you have to go to the setup. Okay, and open your home. It goes to the home, right? And in the home, just we have this particular quick find. Okay, so in the quick find, you can just type for approval process. Okay, so once we type the approval process, you can see here below the process automation, we can see approval process. Okay, just click open this. Okay, and let us just go to the yes, so this is the page wherein we are going to create the approval process. Okay, so as I told you, first step of creating the approval process is you have to choose your object first. Okay, so you have to choose your object. For which object you have to create the approval process, you have to first choose. Okay, that is the first mandatory step you have to do. So for which object we are going to create is, it is for opportunity. Okay, let us choose the opportunity. Okay, and from here you can see here a click, right? You can see a drop down kind of click button here. Just to create new approval process, click this. Okay, so as I told you, we have two options to create approval process. Okay, so in this video we are going to see how to quickly create an approval process. For quick creation, we can go with the Jumpstart wizard. So what is the purpose of Jumpstart wizard is, when you choose the Jumpstart wizard, so you can create approval process quickly, as I told you. Okay, and if your approval process is actually a very simple process of getting an approval from only one person. Okay, in our scenario, we are going to get only an approval from our manager, right? So if it is going to be a very simple approval process, then Jumpstart wizard is actually a handy one. Why it is a handy one is because Salesforce by default will set many of the configurations by itself. You need not worry about many configurations. Okay, wherein if you are going for the standard setup wizard, you have to give many configurations. You have to start from the scratch and give all the things for everything for the approval process. Okay, so I'll be teaching how to create a approval process with the standard setup wizard in the next video. In this video, we are going to use the Jumpstart wizard and quickly we are going to create a simple approval process. Okay, so let us click this. And once it is clicked, it redirects to your new screen here. Okay, you can see here, you can just go through this. Okay, so when you have a one-step approval process, then Jumpstart wizard is a handy one, as I told you, because you can create an approval process in few minutes. Okay, so we are going to give a unique name for our approval process. Okay, let us say that high value opportunity. approval process. So we have given a name here. And as I told you, so the approval assignment email template. Okay, so whenever a request is actually created for a record, we need a email template. I told you, right? So what are we going to do is we are going to choose the email template, which we have created already. Okay, I hope if you are following this video and doing along with this video, you should have created an email template before starting this step. Okay, so let's click this and then just scroll down and just I have three approval process email templates, right? In this, I'm going to choose the submission. Okay, so let me choose this initial template for assigning a approval request to the approver. Okay, and this is very important. If you see here, this is all automatically selected by the Salesforce, right? So only when you have a submit for approval button on your screen, okay, you can submit the records for approval. Okay, so for that, you should have enabled this checkbox. Only then you will be able to see the submit for approval button on your page layout or in the record detail page. Okay, so this is mandatory. Okay, and use approver field of opportunity owner is not editable for us now, but when you go with the standard setup wizard, these will be editable for us. Okay, so this is not editable now. Okay, and then we are going to give the entry condition. What is our entry condition we have discussed in the slides is, so we will just recollect it. So whenever an opportunity is created with the value of above 1 lakh, and if the stage is in the negotiation review, we have to get the approval from the account manager, right? So what are we going to do is we are going to give the entry criteria here. Okay, so you have one more option also. You can also choose the formula evaluates to true. So if you are having a business requirement wherein if you want to have some kind of formula application here, based on that, if you want to restrict the number of records, you can do here. Okay, so in this place, I just want to give you one important information that only when you have a criteria here, only those records which is actually meeting this criteria will just enter into the approval process. Okay, so you're going to stop the records here. Okay, so only if the record is actually passing this particular entry criteria, it can actually enter into the approval process. Okay, not all records will enter into the approval process. So if you have an entry criteria, it's a best practice also. Okay, so we are going to give the condition here. Say, for example, opportunity amount should be greater than 1 lakh. Okay, I'm going to give like this. Okay, and I'm going to choose the stage name also, because my stage name should be in the equals. It should be negotiation review, right? So I'm going to choose the negotiation review. Okay, just choose this. Okay, so my entry criteria is all set now. Okay, and then you can see here the select approver. So who is your approver now? You have to select now. Okay, so it is giving us three options. Okay, so the first option is let the submitter choose the approver manually. So when you are actually having a submit for approval button, if you click that, okay, when you are actually creating a record in the opportunity, and once you are submitting it for approval, it will ask you to choose the approver. Okay, it will just give you a list of users you want to submit the approval request. Okay, so we are not going to choose this. Okay, because my requirement is I want only my manager to approve my request, right? So I'm not going to allow the submitter to choose the approver manually. Okay, I hope it is clear, right? So I'm going to choose the second option, automatically assign an approver using a standard or custom hierarchy field. So let us see what is that. If you see here, this manager field, okay, these are all the standard user fields, right? So we have in our user, we have seen in the user page, right? So in that only we have configured in the previous video, who is my manager. Okay, so my manager is going to be Steve, right? So based on the user assigned in this manager field, the record will be assigned to that particular person. Okay, whoever is assigned in this particular manager field. So in the previous video, we have assigned Steve as the manager, right? So now this particular record, whatever record you're going to submit, it will be assigned to Steve. Okay, so this is clear, right? So we'll see what is this one. So this is the required one for me. Okay, this is the required one for my requirement. Okay, I'm going to choose this option. Okay, let us see what is this also automatically assigned to approver. So what will happen here is, so if you want to choose any other user, okay, so any other user, if you want, just if you click this, you will be redirected to a pop-up screen wherein you can choose any other user. Okay, so based on that also, your approval request will be passed to that particular user. Okay, so if you're having multiple approvers, what will happen if any one is rejecting? What will happen if any one person is actually approving first? Okay, what should happen? All those kind of decisions you can make here. So when multiple approvers are selected, approve or reject based on the first response. So whoever is going to approve or reject first, that response, if you want to consider, then go with the first option. Okay, so if you want to have anonymous approval from all the approvers, okay, so if you want to have approval from all the persons, say for example you are having multiple persons to approve, so there is a manager, okay, and then there is going to be one more senior manager, okay, and then there is going to be a VP, vice president, okay. So if you are having a hierarchy like this, so if you want to have anonymous approval from all the person, okay, so only if everyone approves, then only the approval can be done. If your scenario is like that, then you can choose this option. Okay, so this is actually about all about this particular third option. Okay, but according to our scenario, we are going to choose the second option. Okay, so according to our scenario, we're going to choose the second option. I hope it is clear, right? So as I discussed in the initial part of the approval process, this jumpstart wizard will automatically, okay, Salesforce will automatically choose some of the default settings I told you, right? So if you want to know what are those default settings chosen by Salesforce automatically, just click the show more. Okay, so there are many other options are there which we are going to discuss in the next video with a standard setup wizard. So if you choose the jumpstart wizard, many of the default settings will be chosen by Salesforce itself. Okay, if you see here, so if you want to lock the record, so once you submit an approval for a record, the record should be locked, right? So those kind of decisions will automatically be made by Salesforce. Okay, wherein in jumpstart wizard we have to tell what should be done. Okay, here it is not there for you. You don't have the option to choose this. Okay, and when the record should be unlocked, all those things we can just, it was chosen by Salesforce itself. Okay, and if you see here, there are no email notification is sent upon approval rejection. Likewise, many default settings are set by Salesforce itself. Okay, you can just go through this. Okay, you can just go through this. Okay, so this is how we have set up the initial jumpstart wizard for our requirement. Okay, and just go through this. Okay, now just save this. Okay, so once it is saved, let us go back to the approval process. It will give you an option. Okay, though it has given this default selections are available already with the jumpstart wizard, it gives you an option here. Okay, you can see here, it is recommended that you perform additional actions before activating your process. So you can do, if you want to have additional actions in the jumpstart wizard also, it is giving you an option to do that. Okay, you can just click this view approval process detail page. Okay, so this is the skeleton of your approval process, what we have developed now. Okay, so the entry condition is here. Okay, and record editability. As I told you, whenever you submit a record for approval, it will be in the locked mode, right? And only the administrators can edit. This is actually automatically set by Salesforce if you choose the jumpstart wizard. Okay, so these are all the things it is already done for, we have done, and many of the things are configured by Salesforce. Okay, now we can see here, as I discussed with you in the two videos before, we have discussed about the what is approval process, right? So in that we have discussed what is initial submission action, final approval actions, and final rejection actions, right? So if you want to do some kind of actions, okay, say for example, whenever the record is submitted for approval, if you want to do some kind of actions, so in the add new you have an drop down, right? So in that you have an option for field update. You can see here field update. Okay, so we have created an approval status field in the opportunity object, right? So if you want to change the value of the pick list based on the status of the record, okay, so initial submission action means it will get triggered when the record is submitted for approval. Okay, at that moment you can just make the field, I'll just give the name and I'll just continue. So I'll let us give the name as update status to pending. Okay, so initially my status should be pending, right? That's what I'm mentioning here. Fine. So I'm going to choose a field. So we have already created a field in the previous video, right? So we have created a custom field approval status. Just choose this. Okay, and then it will show you the values what you want to set. Okay, so I just want to set the value as pending. Okay, so initial submission action, I just want the field to be changed to pending. Just save this. Okay, so you can do like this. So now we have updated the field. Okay, now if you want to send an email at this particular point, we can just choose the email alert here. Okay, so just give the description like update, sorry, email alert when record is submitted. Okay, and email template we have created already, right? Just choose that. Okay, and then you can choose the person, so who is going to receive the particular what is that, so someone has to receive your mail, right? So the person who is going to receive your mail, you're going to choose here. The recipient is actually my manager, right? So I'm having my manager as Steve manager, he should receive this particular mail. Okay, so you have an option, many option. If you have the user, it is okay. If you have a role, say for example, if you have a role as manager, okay, so whoever is in the manager role will be receiving here. Okay, so likewise you can just configure it accordingly. Okay, so I'm just going with the user and I'm choosing Steve manager because he's my manager, right? So I'm going to choose the name here, so he will be receiving the email now. Okay, because when I submit the record for approval, he is going to receive the email, right? So I'm choosing the person here and just save this. Okay, and let us just go with the next option. So we have set up the initial submission action, right? So since we have chosen the jumpstart wizard, you can see here the approval step is already we have done with that, right? So because we have done with the initial steps itself, right? So here you have an option to create a additional approval step also, but according to our requirement, we don't need now, right? So this is the place you can see more actions also. If you see the show actions, so initially when the manager is actually approving what you want to do, okay, so like this, if he is approving or rejecting, based on that, if you want to do some actions, okay, so those kind of actions is also available for you. Okay, so as of now we don't have these actions now, so we don't require now. Just I'm moving on to the final approval action. Okay, so what will happen when the final approval action is actually triggered, when it will get triggered? So when the manager is approving your record, the final approval action will get triggered, right? So that is a final approval because there is no other person in the hierarchy to approve the record, right? So now let us come to the final approval action. In this, if you see here, the record is in the lock mode. Okay, so in the lock mode, which means that it cannot be edited. So we have given initially who can edit the record when the record is in the locked mode is only the system administrator can only edit the record, right? So what happens now when the approval is done finally, we have to just unlock this record for the further action on the record, right? So only then the sales rep Preeti can just edit the record and make it close to one and everything, right? So once the approval is done, so what am I going to do is I'm going to edit this. Once the final approval is done, I just want to unlock the record for editing. Okay, this is one thing we are going to do now. Okay, and save this. So we have unlocked the record and the final approval actions we are going to do now. Okay, so we are going to first update the field as approved. Okay, we are going to update the status as approved. Update status to approved. Okay, and then choose the field as approval status and just change it to approved. Okay, I have given as approval. Just rename this particular pick list field if you want. I just given as approval, so it should be approved, right? It's approved, and save this. So now we have given one action, right? Status should be updated to approved. And one more thing, I just want to send an email alert also. Okay, so this email is actually email to the record owner, the opportunity owner, that his record is being approved, right? That mail I'm going to choose now. So I'm going to choose the email template. So in the email template, I have already created for final approval. Okay, let us choose this. Okay, and then this time my recipient is going to be the owner, right? Let us choose the owner now. If you choose the owner, you have the opportunity owner. Okay, so you can just choose this. So the owner of the record will get the mail now. Okay, that is what I have chosen now, and just to save this. So this is also done now, right? So we have chosen two options here, actions, okay? And then we are going to go to the final rejection action. What if the manager is rejecting the record? Okay, so we are going to provide the necessary actions for that. First, we will go with the field update again. And this time I'm going to update the field to rejected, update the update status to rejected, and then change the approval status to rejected. Okay. And then we are going to choose the email alert also. Okay. So here I'm going to choose the email alert. So let us say that email to the, let us say this rejection email to the opportunity owner. Okay. And the email template, I have already created one for rejection. Let us choose this. Okay. And then I'm going to choose the owner again because the owner should receive the mail, right? So likewise. So if you want to have multiple users, if they have to receive the mail, okay, if you're having a business scenario wherein multiple users has to be intimated by the email, then you have an option, right? So you can just choose any other user also if you want. Okay, likewise. Okay, so you can just choose and push it to the selected recipients. Okay, in our case, I just want only the opportunity owner to receive the mail. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now and save this. Okay, so these are the approval process actions we have configured. Okay, we have configured almost all these steps, and recall actions, let us see later. Okay, so we have seen few of the steps. So this particular approval process is actually one step approval process wherein my immediate manager is going to give me the approval. Okay, let us start now. So before starting that, we have to activate it. So we have to activate the approval process. So what happens if you activate the approval processes? Then only your approval process will be in the live state. Okay, it will be active now. Okay, so once you activate, you should be very careful before activating it. Okay, because once you activate, we cannot do few things after that. Okay, the first thing is we cannot add new approval step after you activate it. Okay, so this new approval step button will get vanished. So you should be very careful before activating the approval process, because once you activate it, you will not be able to add new approval step. Okay. So, but you may think that I can just deactivate and add. Okay. Even if you deactivate it, this particular approval step button will not be available for you, which means that once you activate it, even if you deactivate, the approval steps cannot be added. New approval steps cannot be added. This you have to keep it in your mind. Okay, so we have done everything, right? So we have no other approver for our requirement, so I'm going to activate it. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to activate it. So once it is done, let us now go to the opportunity page layout and check whether the submit for approval button is available for us or not. Okay, only then we'll be able to submit the records for approval, right? So let us check that in the page layout. Go to the page layout, and then let us go to the, yes. So here you have to go to the mobile and lightning actions. You can see here, right? I'm actually highlighting here. I'm hovering my screen, right? Sorry, cursor, right? So the mobile and lightning actions. Okay. So click on that. Okay. Click on that and drag your mouse to this left, right side. You can see the submit for approval, right? So just click on this. You'll be able to see it here. Okay. So if you want, you can just place it somewhere, okay, nearby to you. Okay. So likewise, you should be having this submit for approval button. Only then we'll be able to submit the records for approval. Okay. This is one important thing you have to check before submitting the approval. Okay. All those things. Okay. And the next one is scroll down to the related list. In the related list also, we need the approval history. Okay. So in the approval history, it's very going to be very helpful for us. So you can see the records approval history. So what are all the approval process it has gone through the record. Okay, those information is going to be helpful for us. So make sure that this related list is having the approval history for you. Okay, so after making sure all these things, just go to the home again, and let us go to the user, and let us log in as Preeti and create a record now. Okay, let us go here. Fine. So this is Preeti, right? So let us log in as Preeti now. Okay. So we have logged in as Preeti. Okay, now let us go to the opportunity. Okay, I have to go to my approval process, QRT approval process, right? Okay, let me go to this. Fine. So here I have the opportunity, right? Let us just create a new opportunity now. So let us create a new opportunity. And let us just give the name as ABC Parachute Fabric Manufacturers Limited, something. I'm giving some name, okay. And then I'm going to go down to the amount, okay. So my amount is going to be 2 lakhs, okay. Only then the record will be hitting the approval process. So I'm purposefully creating a record so that I can just meet the approval process, right? So I'm making my record to enter the approval process by giving the criteria. What be the criteria we have given? Only the records which has the amount greater than 1 lakh, and I have to give the close date something. Okay. And I'm going to give the stage as negotiation review. Okay. I'm actually creating a record purposefully to enter into the approval process. Okay. And this approval process is actually first nothing, right? So because it has nothing to do now, right? We haven't submitted it for approval. Okay. Now we will just save this. Okay. Fine. So we have the opportunity record now. So what is the requirement we have discussed in the video, in the slides is, so the Preeti cannot make this particular record a close to 1, right? So she cannot make it as close to 1 without getting the approval from the manager, right? Let us check whether she is able to change it to close to 1 or not. Okay. So you'll get a error message here. Okay. Approval from manager is required to close the opportunity. This is actually a validation rule I have set up. So I have created a validation rule here. So without getting the approval from the manager, she cannot close this particular opportunity. Okay. So you can also set the validation rule in this place. Okay. So let us just submit it for approval. Just click this drop down and you'll be able to see submit for approval. Okay. Just click this. Okay. I think you are able to see here, right? So we have an option here. Just click this drop down and here we have an option for submit for approval. Okay. So that is what we are going to do now. We are going to submit for approval. So once you click this button, it will ask you to give some comment. Okay. Say for example, please approve the request for the high value opportunity. Okay, I'm going to give something like this. Okay, just submit this. Okay, once you submit it, the opportunity is submitted for approval. So it is giving you a notification here, right? So how to know whether your record is submitted for approval or not? Okay, let us try to edit the field now. Okay, let us try to change the field something. Okay, let us try to change it. Okay, let us try to change something else. Okay, now let us see what happens. It will not allow you to edit the record. Okay, the record is locked. So if you want to edit it, you have to contact your admin. Why this record is locked? Because we have submitted this record for approval. So that is the configuration we have done in the approval process steps. I hope you remember that, right? So only the admins can edit it. So Preeti now will not be able to edit this record. She is not able to touch this record. Okay. What she has to get this, she has to get the approval from the manager. Okay. So if you scroll down to the approval history, you can see here. Okay, you can see here. I will just show you the approval history. This is the approval history related list we have seen in the page layout, right? You can see here the approval request submitted. Okay. And to whom it is assigned? It is to sales rep Preeti. Okay. And who is the approver actually? Steve manager is the approver. He is the actual approver. You can see here all the details, at what time it is submitted and what date and what is the status. Still Steve haven't actually approved your record, right? Let us just scroll to the approval status. See here, automatically your record is actually changed to pending. Okay. So the approval status is actually pending now. Okay. This is the initial submission action we have done. Right. So now let us go and check the mail. So we have configured the mail also, right? Let us see whether we have received a mail. You can see here. So sales rep Preeti, from sales rep Preeti, Steve is actually receiving a mail. Okay. You can see this is Steve. Okay. And Steve is actually receiving a mail here. So I think this is the mail, right? Okay, fine. So this is the mail he is receiving. So dear Steve manager, so I'm writing to seek your approval for the record. Okay, he can just click here and go to the record also. Okay, so this is the mail initial submission actions we have configured, right? The email alert that is working now. Okay, so and then you can see the field changes also, you'll be able to see, right? All these things we have configured in the initial submission action. Okay, now we are going to log out of Preeti. Okay, let us just save this record and go. Okay, let us log out of Preeti now. And now we are inside Steve manager. Okay, he's my manager, right? So how he can know that a record is being submitted for his approval? Okay, for that purpose only we have created a separate app, right? Let us go to our app now. QRT approval process. Let us go here. So in this home page, we have clicked and dragged the items to approve, right? Let us see whether it is coming here. You can see here, beautifully it has come here. So ABC Parachute Fabric Manufacturers Limited. So this is actually inside the Steve manager. We are inside Steve manager. He's the system administrator and he's the manager. Okay, and he is able to receive this particular items to approve. So these are the items to approve. He has to approve now. Okay, so it is submitted by sales rep Preeti, right? So what he can do is he can just click here and just approve or reject. Okay, anything he can do here. Okay, say for example, he's going to approve this. Okay, so if you type here as approved and just click approve, that's it. The record will be removed from here. Okay, now you can see here the approval request. So whatever is being made, it will be available in this particular object. I told you, right? So this approval request. So now no records is available for items to approve because we have actually approved it already. Okay, now we will check whether Preeti's record is approved or not. Okay, before moving on to that, let us go to Preeti's inbox and check whether she has received a message, mail. Can see here Steve manager approval granted. Okay, so he has actually, dear sales rep Preeti, your approval request is accepted and approved. Okay, this mail she's receiving automatically from Steve. Okay, now let us log out. Sorry, let us log in as Preeti again. Okay, let us log in as Preeti again. And let us see whether the record is now editable or not, all those things. Okay, and what happens to the approval status, all those things we'll check now. Okay, fine. So let us just click this record. And now we are inside Preeti. Okay, you can see here, let us go to the details now and scroll down to the approval status. You can see here it is approved. So how this happened? Because we have actually configured this in the initial approval status we have done, but this is actually happening because of final approval action. In the final approval action, we have actually updated the field. Once the approval is done, I want to change the field to approved. Right, that is what it is actually happening. I just given the spelling here as approval, it should be approved. Okay, now let us scroll down to the approval history. You can see here it is being approved. Okay, so the comment, whatever the Steve has given, everything is available for you here. Okay, so this records approval history will always be available for you when you scroll down. Okay, now let us check whether she is able to edit the record or not. Okay, so just we'll change it to closed one now. Okay, so just come down and just click this. Okay, let us try to save this. Now you are able to edit the record, right? Now it is editable. So how it is possible? Because in the approval process, we have configured that once the final approval is done, I just unlock the record, right? Now it is editable. Okay. So you can also automate here. So you can just, instead of coming and just changing the status here, once the approval is given by the manager, you can just create a flow here. Okay. You can just create a record triggered flow to automatically change the status to closed one. Okay, so once the records approval status changes to approved, you can just make the stage of this particular opportunity to close to one with the help of flow, so that your complete entire process is actually a automated one. Okay, instead of coming and manually changing the status. Okay, that is also can be done now. Okay, so this is the concept of approval process. I hope it is clear, right, how it is working, right? So we have created a very simple approval process using the Jumpstart wizard. Okay, so this is how it works. So in the next video, what we are going to see is we are going to see how the standard setup wizard is going to work. Okay, so we are going to discuss a different scenario wherein we are going to have multiple approvers for our record. Okay, in this video we have seen how approval process works with a single approver, right? So in the next video we are going to see what if I have multiple approvers. Okay, so what will happen? We are going to discuss that in the next video. Okay, so let us meet in the next video. Thank you.
If you are interested to learn Salesforce, visit AJ Skill Development website. There you can find our course curriculum and you can come to know about the list of courses we are offering. We are offering Salesforce Administrator and Salesforce Development courses. To know about us and the team, you can visit our About Us section. This is an organization we are doing Salesforce training from 2018, and we have trained and guided 2000 plus candidates so far. And if you also want to know about our placement assistance, visit our placement assistance section where you can find the list of people and the category. You can see the list of people who got trained and placed from our side. You can also visit their LinkedIn pages to get to know about our training and also the feedback from the relevant trainees. Okay. And also, if you want to do the course inquiry, click on contact us. You will see the form. You can fill the form and submit the inquiry. Our team will get back to us. Thank you.